thanks to all the organizers who provide us with this valuable opportunity to present. Okay, first of all, let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Shuohong Lyu. I just passed my PhD viva with minor corrections in March. And my thesis, which is titled Political Ideologies and the Surveillance Culture in Biosecuritization during COVID-19, is a comparative cultural political study focused on how mass surveillance tools were promoted and designed differently in China and the UK. They also investigated how contemporary surveillance is repackaged and reframed according to different social and political contexts. So today I'm going to talk about the impact of AI on our society, particularly on how it's reshaping creativity, communication, and power structures. Now I know there are already dozens of excellent presenters who have covered the topics we largely concerned about today. But what I want to do today is shift the focus slightly toward the deeper cultural and ideological consequences of AI's integration into our daily lives. Rather than just asking what AI can do, I want us to think critically about what is changing, how it's altering the structure of cultural power, how it's transforming who gets to speak and be heard, how it might be gradually shifting the director of ideology from human to machine. Um, we are entering a period where AI is no longer just assisting humans, but um, it's actively participating in creation and communication. It isn't just about productivity or efficiency, it's about influence. AI is becoming deeply embedded in how knowledge is produced and shared. This subtly it's reshaping public consciousness and even challenging traditional cultural hegemonic structures. So today, we will explore this emerging condition. I would introduce and explain a new idea, artificial intelligence hegemony or AIH, and consider what it means for culture and for researchers, ultimately for our collective future as thinking human beings. Um, the concept of artificial intelligence hegemony, or I can briefly say that ARH, has yet to be explicitly theorized within mainstream academic discourse. While we are beginning to see more conversation about AI's societal impact and the ideas of AI as a hegemonic force, it's a kind of um, capability of shaping culture, ideology, and power relations. It remains largely unexplored. Um, that said, related discussion have gained significant traction, particularly in Chinese academic and media circles since the rise of generative AI. Scholars and commentators have increasingly raised the concerns about AI's broader influence on national identity, media, ecosystems, and the public discourse. For example, Kai-Fu Lee's work in 2018 indicates how the global AI race could reshape economic and geopolitical dynamics, suggesting the rise of a new world order potentially defined by AI superpowers rather than traditional national states. However, despite these important conversations, neither Chinese nor Western academic circles have widely recognized or defined the specific phenomenon of AIH. We haven't yet fully examined AI's roles in transforming not just productivity, um, but ideological influence. How it might subtly direct what we see, what we think, and even what we value. And this is precisely what I want to explore today. I believe we are at a critical moment where AI is no longer just a tool. It's becoming a culture and um, epistemological force. And that requires us, especially as researchers in the humanities and social sciences, to start asking different questions. the questions about how to challenge the very foundation of power, authorship, and the meaning in the age of um, algorithmic algorithmic influence. Well, let's begin with the concept of AI age. So traditionally, when we talk about hegemony, we are referring to a kind of leadership where certain dominant groups manage to shape the overall direction of society. What's important here is that not everyone has to fully adopt the dominant group's belief right away, but when it comes to um, strategically necessary, other groups often do fall in line. This idea was expanded by Antonio Gramsci, who introduced the concept of cultural hegemony. According to Gramsci, dominance isn't just about force or loss, it's about winning consent through cultural and ideological means. So instead of ruling with an iron fist, the dominant group uses media, education, religion, and other institutions to shape how people think. And as the historian Jackson Lears explains in 1985, this process works by using cultural symbols and shared stories to make the current power structure feel natural. Like they are just the way things are rather than something that's actively maintained or imposed. So the year 2023 really marked a major turning point in the evolution of generative AI. We saw the release of powerful tools like GPT-4, Midjourney version 5, and Stable Diffusion 2. These weren't just incremental updates, they indicated a fundamental paradigm shift in how AI is used. Traditionally, AI was mainly seen as a tool to assist with computation or automate a repetitive task, but now it's stepping into the realms of communication, creativity, and ideation. What this really means is that AI isn't just a tool we use in the background anymore. It's starting to act more like a collaborator. It's helping us to write stories, make music, generate images, and even produce videos and voices that feel incredibly real. And honestly, what's both fascinating and a bit unsettling is just how human these outputs sound and look. Sometimes it's hard to tell whether something was made by a person or by machine, and that's a pretty big shift in how we think about the creativity and authorship. As a result, we are seeing the boundaries between reality and creation begin to blur. When AI can generate text and read like it was written by a person or produce visuals and sounds that are distinguishable from human-made content, we start to face new questions. What counts as original? What is authentic? Who is the true author of a piece of work? These are very big issues that challenge our traditional ideas of creativity, um, authorship, and even trust in the media we consume. We are also starting to see how AI-generated content is becoming increasingly influential in shaping public consciousness and ideological narratives, and this signals the emergence of a new kind of hegemony, what we might call the artificial intelligence hegemony. This term, I mean, this concept represents a significant departure from traditional hegemonic forms. It's an unprecedented, often undetectable process, largely driven by algorithmic systems with minimal human intervention. Like the classic models of cultural hegemony, where a dominant elite group actively constructs and maintains control through media, education, and ideology. Um, I mean, AI operates with a kind of post-human logic. It's less about deliberate human manipulation from the top down and more about complex algorithmic process shaping through, shaping thought, the taste, and the behavior from the bottom up, from the ground up. What really distinguishes AIS is the post-human characters. In many ways, we are seeing the traditional dominance of elite institutions weaken. Their ability to set the cultural agenda is being challenged, not just by grassroots movements, but by the AI tools. I mean, those groups now have access to. Um, AI isn't simply enhancing existing power structure. In many cases, it's enabling alternative some voices to reshape them. So what we are witnessing is a shift from a human-driven top-down construction of hegemony to a more decentralized and machine-mediated process. Um, I mean, this is where cultural influence can emerge from unexpected places outside the conventional hierarchies. It's a fundamentally different power dynamics that deserve critical attention. Okay, so in 2024, just last year, we saw three major cases that really marked the growing power of AI in disrupting the existing social order and challenging mainstream ideologies. The first case took place during the 2024 US presidential campaign. Supporters of Donald Trump used deepfake videos and AI-generated images targeted specifically at black voters. These manipulated visuals falsely portrayed them as enthusiastic supporters of Trump, clearly an attempt to reshape political perception and sway public opinion through artificial means. The second example comes from the UK. Following the Southport stabbings, AI-generated Islamophobic content began circulating online. This false narrative linked the attacks to Islamic extremism, despite no confirmed connection. The result was a wave of protest and mobilization that fed into a resurgence of far-right violence, showing how AI-generated disinformation can trigger real-world harm and social division. Certainly, in France, two far-right parties actively used AI tools like Midjourney to produce realistic images and videos as a part of their anti-immigration messaging in the run-up elections. These posts flooded social media platforms, and while technically labeled as AI-generated content, they were not clearly flagged or identified in ways that would alert most users. So, together, these examples show us that AI isn't just a tool of creation. It's also becoming a powerful mechanism for political influence, capable of enhancing ideology, manipulating public sentiment, and destabilizing trust in traditional narratives. Okay, let's move on to the like artistic creation. One particular striking example of AI's cultural influence is the case of the controversial Japanese meme song, YAGNU. This track was created entirely with AI and first uploaded by its creator, Mochi to Nico Nico Video and YouTube in May 2024. It quickly gained traction and went viral across social media in early 2025. So this song is widely considered that to be the first AI-generated song on YouTube to reach mainstream success, amassing over 35 million views and 545,000 likes in just 11 months. On TikTok, the song took on a life of its own, becoming a popular soundtrack for dance videos and meme content shared by influencers and creators. What's interesting about this song is that while the lyrics are often described as vulgar or even very inappropriate, a lot of people still found the melody incredible catchy and attractive, addictive. Many people felt that it was literally brainwashing, but in a very good way, and that tells us something important. AI-generated content has the power to grab attention and shape cultural trends, even when it doesn't follow traditional artistic standards or values. This case can basically show how AI isn't just mimicking human creativity. It's actually starting to surpass it in some areas, especially in terms of productivity and cultural impact. So why AGNU? I mean, this song is a perfect example of how we are gradually entering a new kind of cultural era. I mean, it could possibly happen. It's not led by humans, but by the machines, mainly by the machines that are driven. I mean, they are driving what goes viral and what leads our tastes. Another fascinating and controversial example of AI's expanding influence comes from the legal world. In this year, entrepreneur Jerome Deward appeared in a New York court and used AI-generated avatar to present legal arguments without disclosing that the speaker wasn't human. The move provoked a very strong reaction from the judge and immediately raised serious ethical and legal concerns about the use of AI in judicial settings. What's particularly striking is that this person defended his decision by claiming that the AI lawyer would actually perform better than a human in court. This suggests a growing belief not only in AI's capability, but in its potential to outperform human professions, even in traditionally human-dominated domains like law. So this case can be seen as an early sign of a deeper hegemonic progression led by AI. It shows a shift where authority and credibility once grounded in human expertise and institutional trust, are now being challenged by machine-generated personas. In other words, it's another instance of how AI is beginning to reshape foundational aspects of society, from culture to governance to justice. So, these three cases spanning culture, politics, and law rise a growing concern. AI is increasingly diminishing human engagement in core processes like thinking, creating, and expressing, while in many cases surpassing human achievements in these areas. What we are seeing is a subtle but significant shift. I mean, the role of directing culture and ideology is no longer exclusively human. That role is gradually being taken on by the machines. But here's something important to keep in mind. No matter how advanced AI becomes, it is still fundamentally a machine trained on large language models and built on um, deep learning architecture. It doesn't think, it doesn't feel, no, I mean, in a human way. It has no consciousness, no intention, and no ideological will. What it produces is the result of um, probabilistic pattern recognition, not, I mean, autonomous thought. So, strictly speaking, AI itself cannot be the actor of hegemony culturally or both culturally or politically. Yet the global trend suggests otherwise, at least in effect. We are witnessing the rise of an unusual, almost paradoxical form of hegemony. Artificial intelligence hegemony doesn't operate through deliberate coercion or ideology. Instead, it works through influence. It shapes public perception, discourse, and even imagination, not through intention, but through the output. All it takes is only a spark of human intention, just a few prompts, and the algorithm can then generate massive amounts of content aimed at achieving particular goals. And this raises a serious concern. Over time, we may begin to lose our um, capacity for independent thought and creative exploration. Um, we could end up in a society saturated with algorithmically generated content and the content that's efficient, optimized, and persuasive, but only with a little bit of human intervention. This gradual erosion of human cognitive agency could lead to a profound cultural and epistemological shift. as generative AI becomes more deeply embedded in all forms of knowledge work, offering speed, consistency, and seemingly endless creative potential. We risk we are facing risks to into a world where machine favored narratives, um, aesthetics, and even modes of reasoning. And what's the result? I think that would be a homogenized cultural landscape shaped not by human deliberation, but by machine-driven optimization. Um, so now let's move on the phenomenon of AI age in research practice. Before we start to critique generative AI in academic context, it's important to first acknowledge its clear advantages. Tools like generative AI can significantly support literature review, assist in data analysis, and even enhance the writing and publishing process. In many ways, this feels like a natural progression in academic productivity, comparable to the invention of the spinning jenny in the mid-18th century. Just as the innovation transformed the textile production, and generative AI is now reshaping knowledge production. However, just like the spinning jenny reduced the need for skilled textile worker, uh, generative AI risks displacing essential cognitive functions within academic research. We may see a decline in critical thinking, originality, and depth of analysis as many humanity and social science researchers become increasingly reliant on machine-generated insights. And more importantly, um, more important one more important thing is that AI-generated outputs often reflect dominant ways of thinking, those embedded in the training data, which can lead to a narrowing of academic expression. This becomes particularly problematic when it comes to a non-Western perspective. For example, studies focused on Asia, Africa, and Oceania may be sidelined or misrepresented simply because the AI models are not trained on diverse or representative data sets. As a result, um, div diverse perspectives and the culturally unique ways of understanding the world risk being pushed to the margins or completely overlooked. So let's take an example. In cross-culture privacy studies, just like in the thesis I was writing, when I was trying to use GPT models to conduct CDA, critical discourse analysis, to compare privacy values between China and the UK just for improving productivity, what I found is that the semantic nuance of certain concepts cannot be accurately captured by the AI tool. So I stopped using that and came back to work by myself. Consider the Mandarin Chinese term 隐私. Beyond the literal meaning, 隐私 carries a moral connotation compared to what it is in English language. It also contains a sense of shame and discretion. This layer of meaning is lost when using the GPT model. The analytical process was based solely on its English equivalent, while Chinese users are also trained the models. But still, when asking it in Chinese, 什么是隐私? What is 隐私? The answer doesn't show this layer of meaning. This nuance can only be sensed as a real human raised in a certain cultural context, as language is not just symbols, vocals, and grammatical systems. Language does contain culture and feeling. So in this context, what we are seeing is a new phase of artificial intelligence hegemony. It continues the legacy of cultural hegemony, but now through algorithmic automation. AI doesn't just reproduce dominant narratives, it streamlines and amplifies them, often without the user even realizing it. Using AI tools to do the analysis is not good, at least at the current stage, but we don't know how it will be improved in the future. So I'm gonna, because I'm running out of time, I'm gonna quickly draw the conclusion. How can AI tools can be used properly in research? So, what should do? I think this very good for as a tool for improving productivity, like quickly finding relevant literature. But as we know, you have to check that is this real or not, and it is a good tool for information gathering. Writing assistance for non-English speakers saves time to I mean for um I mean review and proofreading and fast development of unfamiliar knowledge. What shouldn't do ghostwriting, aiding textual analysis such as CDA, DHA, or pragmatic dialectical approach and ideation. So the conclusion is AIH is a brand new form of hegemony that differs from the general perspective, and it's difficult to identify and resist. AI tools should be limited in research activities to protect human intelligence. Okay, thank you.